Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Rifts.
Hi.
Yay. Not to be confused with Rift, the subpar, not as good thing.
No.
Fighting words.
Fighting words with the developers of that video game. Anyway, let us start with some more art. Correct? All right.
Correct. More, a lot of memes, too. We're going to start with
Art.
Tom trying to explain things to Mila last week about us changing bodies, and you got the meme of cheers. You explained with jazz hands. Which is true. He totally did.
Yeah.
And then we've got pictures of the demon deer. Very adorable pictures.
Oh, they are dear.
They are dear.
Stupid demon deer.
We've got a rather sad picture of the drive-by. The event.
The event. Yep.
And then that's it's really well done. Really kind of sad because it reminds me. I will say this. I was telling Kriana earlier. I was really down because when Kriana got hit for that much, I thought Mila was dead. I really did because I had no idea she had that much. And I really, as a player, I'm like, oh, no. But it's all worked out.
Did you skip a few pictures?
No, you know what I probably did? I probably had it on all and not all.
Top.
Yeah, top. Don't worry, I'll fix it. We've got Mila, another picture by Kriana, a very Showgirls-esque Mila.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is, but yay!
It's good. It's like if Mila was Aquaman.
Yeah.
And then we've got a, I guess you could say Tom is on fire. There we go.
I get
Come
it.
on. Come on, guys.
I get.
Hang on, let me go to all. Is there a way to do that like on?
No, by default, no.
Besides bookmarking it, no.
All right. There's the magical lizard aliens. There's the you guys are gonna be so disappointed with this though. The Chris Hemsworth in Thor versus Chris Evans in Captain America. Al will look like neither of them, sadly.
Spoiler.
He'll look more like Callista Flockhart.
He'll look more like Meg Ryan.
Hang on, lots of Ardenfell stuff. More Ardenfell stuff. My weapon, the table. Oh, there's another do not feed the deer.
So, if you scroll back down to Cheers, I believe that's the beginning of that.
Oh, well, hang on. Patrick and Tom acting natural. I don't remember what that was.
Me neither, but there's also a Ghost Kitty.
Oh my gosh, how could I miss these? The picture of Patrick hugging Mila because he was worried that she was he's just happy she's alive, and she thought he was just really happy that she drew him a picture. Then there was the am I giving emotions? This was during the whole drive-by. Not as how I felt as a player. Good lord. Oh god, yeah, Mila's drawing to Patrick.
Yeah.
This is what Mila drew him. And same thing. This is Patrick asking Mila if she's okay right after she was shot. Oh, it's adorable.
I think that was actually her.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
she was asking Patrick.
Mila.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Mila's just got bullet wounds everywhere. Are you okay, Patrick?
And then, oh god, yeah, Tom, I just want to be older. Why do you want to be 21? I just do.
Just want to be older, god damn it.
And then
Is that
Mila,
so much to ask?
And then Mila, this is how I color.
This is how I color.
That's cute.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I would have missed some really good ones. Okay, but that is that. And this is this. And he is she.
No, he's not.
Oh.
And also, supposedly, the stream title has not changed.
Nope, it's changed now. I did it.
Sweet.
Okay.
Perfect. All
Yeah.
right. That's okay.
All right, yeah.
But we're here. We're starting things off, all groovy beans. So before we get started in the session itself, does any of the players have any questions or things that they want to talk about in regards to the game or rule questions or anything like that?
Yeah, I guess a brief question. How many more days before the caravan moves?
2.
2.
Dose. Yep. You betcha. Well, actually, since we finished the stream after the fight with the demon deer, and it's around 5 o'clock, so I guess you could say 2.5 days. You have the evening and then 2 full days.
I
So
see.
did we?
Mhm.
We just ended with getting back from
Yeah, exactly.
that whole encounter.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh right, yeah, now I remember.
So, what I'm thinking of, what I've been doing previously when we have this kind of flexible time is being like, okay, well, what do you guys want to do for the morning? And what do you guys want to do for the afternoon? You all think of something and you say it, right? And that works well, right? But I'm thinking to trying something a little bit different to see if it helps and have more of when we have this kind of free time where you're not actively pursuing a lead or exploring or anything like that, is to have something more objective based. So how about you guys like figure out some of the things that you want to do and like just prioritize them, right? And we'll do the first thing first, and we can figure out what time of day it would be when you do that, and kind of go into more storyteller mode, and then we get done as many things as we can before the 2 days, 2.5 days are up, and that way we don't have to constantly be like, oh, it's now 9 o'clock. Now what are you gonna do for 9 o'clock? You know what I mean? Are you guys up for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am.
Give that a go.
Cool. So, because before we started this session, Byrne, you said you're like, oh, I'm not too sure what else we need to do in New Laszlo. So maybe I'll give you guys just a few minutes or so just to chat amongst yourselves, agree on what you would like to get done, either individually or as a group, and figure out what you want to get done first.
I need to take that robe and get it done by a seamstress in 2 days.
Okay. All right. So you definitely want to get to turn that robe into a pretty dress.
A
Okay.
pretty dress, yes.
That's something that you want to get done. Okay.
I know Al and myself wanted to do something with magic, so I guess Squee will explain that when it goes to his thing. But I also want to locate and tour around the behemoth with I cannot remember his name, but it's like
Max.
a Max.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Okay.
Tom is basically set to leave.
Okay.
I gotta
So-
check and make sure my armor's good, actually. I can't remember
Yes,
if I got
that
that
too.
repaired.
I need to
Yeah.
dump off my freaking
Yeah.
armor.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
Double check on
okay.
that real quick.
Okay. Okay.
Continue
All
to
right.
talk.
Keep talking.
Keep
That's
talking.
fine. So you have nothing really pressing that Tom individually wants to do. Okay. All right. Al?
Two things that come to mind. Well, three, but one of them won't be till like the last day we'll hear. But I want to, like Patrick said, go looking for an alternative to body armor. I think that Al is going to set his sights less lofty. Like maybe it doesn't have to be magic, just maybe something like something. So he's not
Okay.
sure. And finding a tutor for magic.
Yes. Okay.
Those are his big things. And other
right.
than that, he probably will be spending the majority of his time in the clinic that he won't be able to spend a lot of time in soon.
Fair enough. All right. All right. So, how about we get done a few little single things first within those 2 days? That would be really easy to say is done. You know what I mean? So, it would be a flexible time during these 2 days since there's nothing really pressing. But let's nail off Mila getting her dress. Max taking a tour around the behemoth with Patrick, and I want to do the shopping thing with Al as well. But like this could be done. Well, the shopping thing. Okay, let's just kill two birds with one stone, which is Mila's dress and Patrick's tour with Max. Okay. That'll be easy away because no one has shown like, oh, I gotta do this right now. Let's just get those out of the way. Mila, as for finding a tailor, I think it would be fair enough to assume that Tom would recommend the same tailor that he went to for his mask. Is that a fair assumption?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. So this same fellow, after taking your measurements, if you consent, he is, although he's more used to doing clothes for gentlemen, it doesn't mean he certainly can't make a fine dress. In addition, he is actually experienced now with using the same fabric. So, it would only take him about a day or so to do. He once again will want to make sure he can do it personally, and he'll prioritize it. But for a little bit of an additional cost, he quotes you an even 1,000 universal trade credits for something like that. And of course, as to the exact design, I'll leave to your own imagination there, Kriana. But does the price seem fair to you?
Mila would then walk back to the behemoth and ask, I guess, whoever's there if she can buy this dress because she doesn't really have any money on her.
Okay, fair enough. Would it be fair enough to say that the group would give Mila 1,000 credits out of your 4.7 million?
Of course.
Patrick would.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're able to pay for it, no problem.
Woohoo!
So knock off 1,000 credits there, and you can put in your own section. You know, you're pretty. What color is the fabric? What color is your
I
dress?
think it was red and gold.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, it's red and gold.
Okay, so red and gold. And much like once you pick up the dress, the fellow will ask if he's able to keep the excess fabric that he didn't use as part of the payment as well, just because he finds it very startling and impressive stuff. Okay, cool, excellent. Sorry, since I roleplay with Tom, I don't think there's, for such a kind of mundane transaction, that's not really necessary.
Agreed.
So now we'll move on with Max. For those of you who just need a bit of a refresher, Max is a young, a little bit on the heavier side, mechanic that originally was with Pamel's group, Coleman's Collections, and he was also a victim of the attack that brought Pamel to, to the Endless Storytellers. He is an operator, not on people though, an operator as in a mechanic, and he also has psychic abilities. The premier one is telemechanics, which means pressing his fingers to a machine allows him to get a very intricate understanding. So he mentioned previously, he mentioned how impressed he was with the behemoth himself, and was asking for a tour or getting a closer look. So it looks like Patrick is going to oblige him. Now, during this time, just so I can figure this out ahead of time, would you guys be in the behemoth as well as Patrick was taking Max around, or would you rather be out and about doing something else? What do you think your characters would do?
Me personally, if I'm not shopping or doing the tutor or helping one of the others, I will probably be in the clinic.
Okay, so you're probably not going to be there. All right.
Tom will.
Okay, great. Mila?
She probably in between like climbing trees, come back and visit to like eat something.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So I'll leave it to your purview. But at the invitation for Max to take a tour of your behemoth, he eagerly accepts, and you start to show him around. He excitedly talks to Patrick about statistics and about square footage and about what these types of large machines did, are capable of doing. He goes over the sensor systems and everything like that. But eventually, the conversation does go towards the old databanks. And he asks you, Patrick, if both of you could head over to the pilot's compartment, because there's something that you might find interesting, but something that would really scratch his itch as far as curiosity goes.
And I would oblige.
Okay, all right. Max, thanks you very much. And you head over to the pilot's compartment, and he asks if he can sit down in the co-pilot's chair.
Mm-hmm.
And as he does so, he starts to go along to the onboard command console, but instead of actually turning it on and operating it through the little keypad there, he instead just presses his hands up against the glass and closes his eyes. And he focuses for quite a bit of time. And while doing so, actually, Patrick, I think it would be fair to assume that he wears, right now, Max is wearing a set of dark blue, kind of a coverall mechanics garb. It actually still, on the left arm, has a patch that says Coleman's Collections. It seems to have been one of his old work outfits from there. But as he kind of bends his head down towards his chest as he's concentrating on whatever he's doing, this interaction with your behemoth, you do notice on the small of his neck, underneath his hair is kind of just slightly covering it, but you do see a small barcode that's kind of, that is tattooed along the base of his neck there. It's very, very small, and you also notice a little kind of bump of scar tissue on it as well. But other than that detail, he is concentrating for a few moments longer until he opens his eyes, and he gives a bit of a smile, and he turns to you, and he goes, "Well, I'll be damned." These old machines, I mentioned before that just by the feel of this wasn't created anytime recently. This is at least 350 years old, which means it was made before the rifts. Do you remember me telling you that?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I decided to go into its actual data banks. Unfortunately, a lot of people didn't store any sort of captain's log or anything else there, but I was able to sense a different type of data. Turns out that these machines used to have some sort of special communication that reached out towards space. I've read a few old books about it. They were satellites, and there was this thing called a GPS, a global positioning system. Well, this thing was meant to have one of those. Of course, right now, it's not working. But it did log all the old coordinates of what it had beforehand. And man, this thing has been all over the place. And he goes, "Do you have your personal computer with you?"
Mm-hmm. And now scavenging in a pack and
Cool. He goes, "What I would really like to do is, if you're fine with it, maybe we can work together. I can name out the coordinates, and you can place them on the map, and we can backtrack them and see where this thing has been, if that works for you."
Sure.
Okay.
And he'll pop down in the captain's chair, not really looking to control it at all, just a chair.
All right. All right. So, I'm going to be using old Rift's term. I mean, never mind. Just a second. So first things first, I would like you to do a computer use check, Patrick.
All right.
Oh,
That's
wonderful.
easy.
All right. So and also do a programming check too, please.
Okay. That I'm going to have to actually check if that works or not.
Okay.
If it is it basic programming?
Yeah, it's basic. What you're going to be doing is very basic, I reckon.
If it's computer usage, it should be fine. I'm going to check about the other one.
Okay.
Click. And magic of computers itself, bring me how good I am at computers.
Oh my god, I think my brain's going to implode.
Computer programming
Yeah.
is at a 74%.
Oh, so you're so close. Okay, all right, that's okay. Then because what I was thinking you'd be able to do, and it's easy enough. We'll still say it's a success. We're going to just say this took you a little bit longer, which is fine because time is really not a sense of urgency right now. Is what I figured you would do is you would make a brief program that would have some sort of overlay that would actually create like pictures or dots and like literally map out like on a graph of you would have had like an old map of the continent or something like that, and would just put little pinpoints,
Points?
thank you, of all these places that Max is talking about. And I think what I might actually do for you as well, Piff, is in between our sessions, I'll actually create a special overlay showing you, like, visually exactly what he's talking about. But right now, I'll just have to describe in words, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now, of course, your characters wouldn't know the names of these states or anything like that. It would be more described as, like, southwest of Chi-Town and north of the Magic, the Federation of Magic, and, west of Lone Star and all this other stuff. But for the sake of you, the players, I'm going to start naming Canadian and American states and provinces, so it makes it a little bit easier for you, okay? So he starts naming it off, and he starts backtracking. Of course, there are a few pinpoints, collected pinpoints of Michigan, but then before that, it seemed to have been going down and towards Illinois, and then the last pinpoint goes straight from Illinois to Mexico, oddly enough. So that was the last time the GPS coordinates kind of triggered. Now, once again, he reiterates that all this data was from before the rifts. So it's very, very old data, but these he can only imagine what these areas might be. But then it goes from Mexico back up towards Texas, towards San Antonio, and then it goes straight east towards Louisiana, past Mississippi, into Georgia, and then up towards South Carolina. Then it once again crisscrosses across the Midwest into Nebraska. And then finally, it goes into where is New York. And the last pinpoint, the very last section of data seems to be in Maryland, or what used to be Maryland. And then Max stops and he says, that's the very, very last coordinate, the very first thing that ever fired off. He kind of gives a bit of a smile and he says, I don't know about you, Patrick, but it wouldn't surprise me if those coordinates are the place where this thing was actually made.
Or at least close to it. That would probably be really interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think the Endless Storytellers are going to be heading out that far east, though. I hear it's pretty dangerous, but I wouldn't know. I've never been that. This is the furthest east I've ever been myself. And he starts to pause, and he gets up. He goes, well, I have to say this is a one-time treat. Most of the tech that I come across is, if it wasn't newly made by Northern Gun or maybe even the Coalition, it's mostly been just old junk that has been refurbished over and over and over again. But this baby, he kind of pats the armchair of the co-pilot seat that he was sitting in. He goes, this one's a classic, so thanks again. It was really nice to kind of get mentally into her circuits.
Well, I do have another treat for you if you'd like.
Oh, what do you mean? He asks excitedly.
I believe I have found some pretty marvelous old tech. I'm almost positive back before the rifts began.
Really?
Come here.
Okay.
And he's going to sort of at a fine pace jolt to the workshop.
Okay, yeah, he follows you excitedly.
And I kind of go in and I gesture awkwardly to the good old two-man rocket ship.
And his eyes open. They open so much they almost bulge out of his head, and he says, what the hell is this thing? But not in an angry tone, in more of a disbelief, surprise tone. He definitely has not come across anything like this before.
Well, I know generally one thing. It's supposed to be built to go into space.
Space? He says? You think this thing has been in space?
I'm not quite sure I've been in space, but at least made to do so, or at least something close like Mars, I guess.
Whoa, can I? He pauses for a moment, like as he's almost like too afraid to ask because he doesn't know what the response will be. But he's like, "Do you mind if I,
Go
take
for it.
really?" And he kind of actually has to take a moment and like pump himself up for something like this. Uh, and he takes another breath and he just presses his hands against the nose of this spaceship. And he's there and he's furrowing his brow, and he's concentrating. In fact, his face, his cheeks are starting to get a little bit flush as he's just absorbing everything he can from this. And it takes about maybe 10 full minutes. And he opens his eyes and he seems visibly drained, but in incredibly high, awe-filled spirits. And he goes, "Well, I'll be damned. I couldn't exactly make out all the images that I felt, but you're absolutely right. This thing has been in space. I was actually able to get some impressions of where it was even made. A place, and he pauses for a moment, and he's like, I can see the words in front of me, but I don't know the pronunciation. Laika Station? I see an Laika station. In fact, just underneath the engine, indented on it, he says, if you were able to just look at it from the underside, you would see it stamped on it as well. But from my impressions, it's very, very vague because it was so long ago, but it was made in a station that actually orbits the Earth. That's amazing, he says.
Patrick's like stops taking mental notes and stops and goes, "A space station?"
He goes, yeah, I thought this was built on Earth, but the impressions that I'm getting was that it was actually built up in space as well. And he pauses for another moment and he goes, and then he starts ringing throughout just tons of technobabble that you might probably appreciate as to the exact specifications of the ship, how fast it can go. In fact, if you're up for it, you and him can have like a powwow for at least a couple hours. A lot of the information that you were researching before on the specifications on this ship, how fast it was expected to go, what it kind of ran on, all this other stuff, he can actually answer for you. His telekinetic skill gives him this such intense knowledge and his own, expertise, gives him such intense knowledge as to the output of the engine, as long as a bunch of other statistics that I personally as a GM don't know, but something that these two characters I think would really, really appreciate and would really help you on rebuilding the ship. So good call on having Max take a look at that.
And Patrick will not only oblige, but insist upon it.
Okay, fair enough. So you guys, heat up some coffee or something like that. In fact, he's even able to give you a good example of some alloys in which to use to rebuild, this section, or, this type of copper wire of this gauge would actually work really a lot more efficiently in the electronics of, this section, little stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And he would most likely be on his little personal computer, open up a document, just typing away, just taking notes.
Very cool. All right, wonderful. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk to Patrick or anyone else, any of the other players who would probably pass by, just like listening to just Max and Patrick just talk each other's heads off? Anything you guys want to bring up?
Mila would probably come in, be like, "Oh, look, it's that guy," and she'd have chocolate milk and she'd start blowing bubbles in it, and then after a couple minutes just leave because she was so bored.
Okay.
Patrick would probably see anybody come across. He's just like, "Dude, this thing runs on like some sort of like hyper fuel.
It would be this strange chemical blend of it's a synthetic chemical blend actually that would actually have to be changed on a molecular level. So whatever this space station did to build it to make the fuel too, its technology is incredibly advanced that you and Max now are getting to the theoretical part of your conversation.
I'd just be yelling that out at people passing by, just like different parts about it.
Okay, I had to miss part of it because of a puppy piddle. Are we living in a space behemoth?
No,
the spaceship that we found.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying
spaceship
like
was
the
constructed in space.
Okay, I thought the behemoth was constructed in space. I was like,
No, but they've been able to pinpoint a lot of places where the behemoth was previously.
oh, neat.
Including its first reported location, which would be there right now. Patrick and Max are hypothesizing it's maybe where it was made or nearby, perhaps, because it's the very first coordinates that they have in its old data banks.
Neat.
So, yeah.